Nigerians, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Inside Nigeria. It's reaching your leadership television. As you can see, I have an array of newspapers on my desk just for review on this first segment of the show. My name is Winifred Ugbebo, and it's my pleasure to host you on today's edition. Today's October 5th, 2023, and we have Nigeria's most influential newspaper on first on our menu for review this Thursday. Leadership says Chicago varsity saga, we have no time to waste on trivialities. Federal government says Chicago varsity saga, we have no time to waste on trivialities. Federal government. Tinubu certificate not forged, says presidency. CSU records and help articles case before Supreme Court stands. We have Ayedatiwa Akeredolu on those assemblies nom Ganduje. Ayedatiwa Akeredolu on those assemblies nom Ganduje. Senate confirms Balarabe 2 other ministerial nominees. World Bank tax Nigeria orders on stability, job creation. CBN books. Obaze report causing discomfort in presidency. And of course, we have the picture of the Vice President Kashim Shettima, chairman of and also the chairman of the Northeast Development Commission, NEDC, Major General Report Tafa Limited, and MD CEO NEDC, Mohammed Akali, during the formal presentation of the Northeast Stabilization and Development Master Plan to Shettima at the Presidential Villa Abuja yesterday. We move up where we have above the masthead where we have federal government orders NIS to process passports within 2 weeks. Federal government orders NIS to process passports within 2 weeks. And CJN says our decisions guided by constitutional. With that, we move to the page 3 of the paper where we have our stand. Our stand today is on deputy governors and impeachment saga. The back page of leadership says House of One institutionalizing interfaith ecumenism. It's a guest column with James A. Kai. For more on these inside stories and continuation of headline stories, you log on to the website of Leadership, www.leadership.ng. From Leadership, we have This Day says SCU. Tinubu are graduates, but we didn't issue diploma he submitted to INEC. CSU, Tinubu are graduates, but we didn't issue diploma he submitted to INEC. Matter is frivolous, distracting, says Foreign Affairs Minister. President certificate not forged, insists presidency. Article to hold World Press Conference today. Court with Nigeria a great disservice to ignore the CSU's deposition. Supreme Court will do Nigeria a great disservice to ignore CSU's deposition. Shettima, Nigeria must break shackles of over-reliance on oil, harness non-oil export potential for export. Shettima, Nigeria must break shackles of over-reliance on oil, harness non-oil potential for export. Tinubu meets constitutional qualifications for president, but focus shifts to INEC diploma in quote, disowned by CSU. Tinubu meets constitutional qualifications for president, but focus shifts to INEC diploma, disowned by Chicago State University. Senate confirms Balarabe, Bio, Ibrahim, Olawande as ministers. World Bank caused Nigeria's 2023 economic growth projection to 2.9%. Says current growth rates in Africa inadequate to create enough jobs. For more on this, log on to the website of This Day. And from This Day, we go over to Blueprint. Blueprint says Chicago certificate rule, no time to waste on frivolous issues. Suga. Chicago certificate rule, no time to waste on frivolous issues. Suga. Says like Buhari, Tinubu will come out claim. You can only forge what you don't have, presidency. Fake news becoming worrisome to entire world, Malagi. And we also have same picture like This Day leadership on the cover of Blueprint. And beneath the picture story, we have Akwa Ibom, 2 brothers to die by hanging for murdering farmer. Outlook for Naira remains bleak, shares 23% third quarter. McCarthy makes history as first US speaker to be impeached. Ministerial screening, El-Rufai's replacement, Balarabe slums cleared. 2 others too. Tribune Senate correspondent Adeyemi dies of cardiac arrest. We move up just beneath the masthead where we have FCT, Wike to partner Remi Tinubu on Women Affairs Directorate. The story continues on page 6 of Blueprint. FCT, Wike to partner the First Lady Remi Tinubu on Women Affairs Directorate. Federal government reviews passport policy, clears over 204,000 backlog. Public opinion can't override constitution. Cooking gas price rises by 17%, 43% further jump projected. From that, we move over to Vanguard. Vanguard says Vanguard has different story entirely as its headline story. State split over federal government 75,000 wage award to federal workers. State split over federal government 75,000 wage award to federal workers. We key into federal government's template: Enugu, Edo, Ondo, Ekiti, Kebbi, Delta, Oyo, Adamawa, others to negotiate with workers. Federal government can dictate to us what to pay. Niger government. Terrorists abduct 5 university students in Katsina. 1 suspect arrested. Federal government issues 2-week timeline for passport processing. Clears over 204,000 backlog. Presidency article disagree over certificates Tinubu submitted to INEC. 22 drowned as boat capsizes in Niger. 6 bodies recovered. Senate screens confirms 3 additional ministers for Tinubu as Lawa slums. And for sports, we have Ancelotti, how we caged Osimhen. We move just to the stories above the masthead of Vanguard. World Bank paints gloomy picture of growth in Nigeria orders. World Bank paints gloomy picture of growth in Nigeria orders. Mohbad court remands Naira Marley, Sam Larry, 2 others. Court martial declares Major General guilty of $1.476 million theft. CJN to judges, we must rise above temptations trials. For more on that, log on to the website of Vanguard newspapers. And from Vanguard, we are on to The Nation. The A Nation says, leading story today, October 5, 2023. CJN, public opinion does not court decisions. Steadfast, not succumb to intimidation, attest judges. Several vitriolic attacks are regularly on the judiciary. It is, however, clear that public opinion, no matter how serious or weak it might be, cannot override or supersede the Constitution. This is the story in quote by the CJN Aribola. CSU deposition authenticates Tinubu certificate. Presidency replies critics. That's the story just beneath the leading story. Investments in solid minerals will stimulate economy. Alake, federal government gathering day. 5 female Katsina University students abducted. Kaduna elders back Sani on security. Kaduna elders back Sani Ubasani, the governor of Kaduna State, on insecurity. And we have again how we cleared 204,332 passports backlog by Interior Minister. Governor decries 680,000 out of school children. Crude theft not only reason for low production, says agency. Crude theft not only reason for low production, says agency. UAE team in Abuja to fine-tune talks on visa ban orders. Union Abuja prospective students to undergo drug tests. The story continues on page 27 of the Nation newspaper. For more on that and inside stories, log on to the website of the Nation. From the Nation, we have the Guardian next on our Guardian leads with crisis looms in varsities over mass exodus of lecturers. Crisis looms in varsities over mass exodus of lecturers. And of course, as usual with the Guardian, they have a graphic display, illustration, of the leading story. Crisis looms in varsities over mass exodus of lecturers. It has a breakdown of IP salary payments just beneath the leading story. And underneath that, we have beware of landmines. CJN Ariwola wants new federal high court judges. Beware of landmines in court. CJN Ariwola wants new federal high court judges. Government adopt 5 female undergraduates in Katsina. Economy bites harder as subscriptions to telecom services drop. Tragedy in Senate as journalist dies. Ministerial nominee slumps during screening. May his soul, the part of the departed one, rest in peace. Tinubu and the political option for Nnamdi Kanu. That is the editorial on The Guardian today, and it's on page 12 of the paper. And of course, the last story on the cover page is 62-year-old Benin socialite backs 12 years in jail for human trafficking. The story is on the metro page of The Guardian on page 9. For more on that, log on to the website of The Guardian, www.guardian.ng. From The Guardian, Daily Sun is next on our menu. Daily Sun says tragedy at Senate. Kaduna ministerial nominee slumps while being screened by senators. Journalist collapses and Nance dies. 3 nominees confirmed. And underneath that, we have trouble looms in health sector. 31,000 primary healthcare centers collapse. The Sun Media Foundation to partner National Assembly on healthcare. CJN tax 23 new judges on impartiality, says much expected from them. Government storm Federal University Katsina abduct 5 female students. Epidemic looms in Delta community as bodies litter scene of field tanker fire. Chicago Varsity presidency says Tinubu certificate not fake amidst mixed reactions. Is a distraction, minister. 72% of foreign trained doctors fail assessment, MDCN. NECO, anxiety as parents await SSC results. Federal government gives 2 weeks timeline for processing passport. For more on these inside stories and of course the editorial, log on to the website of Daily Sun. And from Daily Sun, we move over to the last paper we have on our menu for review in this first segment of the show. And the point says, economic crisis, states borrowed 46 billion naira from banks to pay salaries. Economic crisis, states borrow 46 billion naira from banks to pay salaries. Access, Fidelity, Zenith lend states 46 billion naira in 6 months as governors battle poor IGR. Fiscal Responsibility Commission issues guidelines to banks on lending to states MDAs. Of course, we have the picture of the CJN Ariwola as he inaugurated the new Federal High Court judges yesterday, and he said judgments based on constitution, not public opinion. CJN. Judgments based on constitution, not public opinion. CJN. Underneath that, we have 5 Katsina Varsity students kidnapped. Police nab informant. FCTA demolishes illegal structures in Abuja. Ministerial nominee faints. Journalist dies in National Assembly shuttle. Of course, from this, we move over to the stories above the masthead. Chicago Varsity vindicates Tinubu. Presidency insists. Article 5 documents today. Federal government to convert 10 million PMS vehicles to CNG. Naira among Africa's worst currencies falls by 40% according to World Bank. And of course, with this last headline story on the Punch today, we'll end today's first segment of the show, newspaper review. My name is Winifred Dugbe, but don't forget we have a second segment coming up where we have our guest, and her guest is already a public affairs analyst and political economist is already in the house to throw more light on some of the headline stories. Don't go away. Stay tuned.
Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country. Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country. Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country. Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country. Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country. Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country. Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country.
Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, the program is Inside Nigeria, reaching you on Leadership Television. My name is Winfred. Once again, this is the second segment of your number one breakfast show on television. And of course, as you can see, I have with me in the studio is a political economist, a public affairs analyst, Olamilekan Adefolari. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having
you on today's program.
Thanks. I'm very
How
good
have you
morning.
been?
Oh, you're pushing.
Yes, since on Monday, the nation has been awash with reports of articles fishing at Chicago State University to get the certificate of the president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which has continued to generate ripples in public space. And of course, some papers like Leadership has it on its cover today. Same with others like This Day. In fact, every other paper have it on their cover today. And the issue has divided opinion on public space. Perhaps you want to add yours to it.
Everybody has his opinion about it, but the critical aspect of it is that your article have succeeded in helping us to unravel certain things in that as a lesson as well as an inspiration that anytime we are putting up documents, we should make sure that the names that we want to use are coherent with whatever document that we have been using. That is number one. Then we should take up due diligence on those documents, because one of the issues around the President Tinubu certificate was that there is discrepancy in some of the features of the document, in terms of the name, in terms of the date of birth, in terms of whether it's a female or a male. And those are the things that brought about the controversy around the certificate in the first place. Then the second aspect of the certificate is that the school has eventually come and said this person is our student and he graduated from our school. Then the third aspect of the issue is that from the article end is that the certificate that the president submitted, in the case of the US, they call their own degrees diploma. The way we call it certificate. That the one that the president submitted is a forged one, and that's what is submitted to INEC. So that is the level that article is taking up the case now. That they want to take up the case and said it's a forged certificate that took to INEC. Well, whether the Supreme Court to accept a new evidence, is what we don't already know right now. But all having said, the vindication is that the president is a student of CSU, but the narrative around all these particular issues is what makes some people not to even accept the issues at the first hand, because of the way the narrative in terms of the negative aspect of turning a good story into a bad story, in a sense that a lot of negativity around it make people not to believe it. But at the end of the day, what we have is that, as we are seeing on the picture, Bola A. Tinubu is what is there, not Amuda, as being claimed by some narrative around the story.
Okay, so what are we going to see at the end of the day? Because President Tinubu's legal team has already said that they will ensure that the Supreme Court does not admit it. That is a fresh evidence.
Seriously, that will be another issue for the Supreme Court, because from what we have so far in terms of our legal procurement, in terms of arriving at election issues, it could be something that it could have to do a new lexicon in terms of whether new evidence will be accepted after evidence tender at the Presidential Election Tribunal. Because the judgment that they are taking to the Supreme Court is what the PEPT decided on. So if you have evidence, it could be a stumbling block. And we
no, I actually, former Vice President Atiku actually brought the issue up at the PEPT. Remember, but they know that it doesn't have any evidence that there was the person that they got the certificate from did not emanate from CSU, and besides, CSU has already said that Bola Ahmed Tinubu did attend the institution.
I think what really killed that issue at the Presidential Tribunal was the witness of a PDP. Yes. He contradicted what he was accepted to do. Okay. In the sense that when they asked him the issue, how they got involved in it, and he said he stayed in Anambra, he resided in Anambra, and I say you that reside in Anambra, that stay in Nigeria. How do you know about what is happening in CSU?
What is your interest
in this particular?
You don't have interest.
And again, if you know, the thing is, I've said it on different fora that just the way Atiku wasted a lot of people's time by chasing Buhari certificate. In 2019, this is the same period, and I wonder who are the people thinking for this man. And now I'm told that he is going to have a world press conference that is going to issue around. It's not generating another negative story around what we already know. Because what is he going to tell us now is that the school have said he's a student, but we don't trust the certificate, and I don't know the press statement is going to give. Already the school have said this is our student, he has graduated. So what are you going to tell us? Now I know you may want to ambush the Supreme Court to accept this evidence, and that's what they want to do today through the World Press Conference. Want to do.
Okay, honestly, so what's in overall? What is your impression about the whole thing? You are saying that it was a wasted or futile exercise. Yes,
in one way it was for the political reason.
Then they are holding the fact that it was a forge, like CSU says, a forge, and of course there's a section of the Constitution that says forged documents as presented by candidates.
Whether it is forged, we don't actually know whether it is. It is just the narrative that we are hearing and we are reading. Actually, if it is forged, the CSU people would have, the student and the CSU would have even come out strongly on that. They won't even have supported what the Tinubu is presenting. In the sense that on their own, according to what other stories that we have read about it, that on the part of the students who have lost documents. You know, in 1979, now, when he became governor, these same issues came up, and the people who came up with the story also lost out. So I'm also seeing this thing also happening at the Supreme Court, but I'm not preempting what the court will say for now. But what I'm trying to point out is that we have learned something. We also gotten an inspiration out of it. I said something else. I said, now if you are going for a document, ensure that your name and everything is coherent. There's no 1922 year and 2010 year. No. If you are a female, let us know it is a female. If you are a man, let us know it's a male. We should all be guided, and due diligence will be put. And again, it's another opportunity for us in Nigeria, especially our institutional platform, all the universities. There are some universities that you go, when they are issuing your certificate, they use your own name first before your surname. Meanwhile, when you go to NYSC will ask you, how do you want your name to be spelled on your document? And in that case, some of the corpus, they do mistakes. Somebody will go and put their surname first and put the other. So when they not tender, they say there's no coherence between your certificate. I'm already a victim. In my NYSC, it is all my surname, my middle name, and my name, my other name. Now, in my certificate, it's my main name, my middle name, and my surname. So if I tender that for a political contest, now they will say, okay, who is Ade Folami? Who is Olamilekon? You know the difference.
Now, if you go through most of the papers today, you see that when you go to the classified document section, it's quite much because of this change of names or confirmation of names or rearrangement of names that you see there just because banks need it now because of BVN. And I think that's a lesson for all. Anyway, let's see how the story will unfold. Because Atiku's legal team, they said they are having their briefing today in Abuja. And of course, obviously, maybe they have new information, except that one, many Nigerians are ready to move on. Anyway, another leading story, sub-leading story on Daily Sun is trouble looms in health sector. 31,000 primary health care centers collapse.
It's something that is not. This story is not new. I think early this year we've been having issues with the primary health sector in the sense that the budget of 2020 didn't really cap enough in terms of funding the primary health sector. Although we know the primary health sector is in the hand of the state government and the local government.
Yes.
Although federal government have an interventional process of funding part of it through the primary health development agencies that they have. But the key point still remains that the state governors and local government are shying away from doing the necessary thing they need to do at the primary health care center. If 31,000 of them are being,
it's quite much.
It's not. It could be more than that. And I remember last year they
it's half now because we are talking about
774,000 local government.
That means we just have about 700 and so. Okay.
No, in some local government you can have like 10 health centers.
Yes, like Kwara. I think I've been to Kwara that a local government have
more than like even in Kawo local government in Nasarawa they have more than 10 primary health centers. At least I see it's like each community has primary health care centers. I
think for Larry, with this story, you begin to wonder then what happens to the monies being collected by state government?
Definitely, they are diverting into issues, to other necessary important issues. You can see in one of the headlines that state governor borrow over 46 billion to pay salaries. Yeah,
we are going to come to that. I'm just bringing that a story.
The issue is that most of the states are in debt. Many of us have forgotten that recently the GMO came up and said our debt is about 77 trillion naira. Right now. More than half of that money is owned by state government. If you
a situation whereby state governments will not prioritize health, not prioritize education, then what are they prioritizing?
They are prioritizing their stomach infrastructure policies, which has to do with cosmetic and ad hoc policy of doing intervention by giving money to people. Because that's what's happening in Nigeria now. You go and say, I'm giving money to market people, I'm giving money to youth, I'm giving money to religious and traditional organizations. That's what they are doing now to ensure that they remain in power, to remain popular. But that they can address that very concrete to the economy, like health, they keep away from it. That's what is happening. Because if you check all the 36 states, what they are doing now is intervention program that has to do with conditional cash transfer, giving money for loans for SMEs because they say cushioning effect of fuel subsidy. So that's what they are doing. And this didn't start today. It started many years ago that government are now diverting their attention from critical sector of the economy to frivolous issues that doesn't even have any sustainable long-term impact on the economy. Like health, like education, like road infrastructure. They are shying away from it. They are just doing things that people can really see, fun fair activities, dance, psychophant are happy that hey, a good man is giving money to SMEs, is giving money to market women, is giving money to this. That's what they are doing. So with that, and they incur more debt on this.
But is there no civil society that can actually galvanize government into action or so that to ensure good governance? Because we are seeing a situation, but as you just pointed out, that is a dismal picture. Because at the end of the day, governors are demigods; they do whatever they want to do.
The issue is that not that civil society cannot criticize the state governor. It is easily for state governors to catch a civil society organization and trample on them than federal government. So most of the civil society concentrate more on federal government. Okay. So if you see that, even my personal organization, we look at what government is doing from the military perspective. But we know that the state governors are also doing a lot of damages to the economy. Like 46 billion they went and borrowed now. It's a damage to the economy of the state.
We are just coming to that. I'm keeping the best of what is
exactly. I know. And if you see that, like for example, in Lagos State now, there is no civil society that is challenging Lagos State government over issues, because the moment you start against the governor, they can easily clamp on you. But the federal government will still give you a long time before the CDSS will chase you.
I quite agree with what you said, because we have seen some governors. I remember we had a colleague, senior colleague then, that one governor, I don't want to call his name, playing the leading role now in government, sent policemen to come all the way from his state to come and arrest him here in Abuja.
Because they know that he has focused on them, he has exposed some of the dirty things
that many cases are banned
on him. So in Nigeria, so civil society are a little bit shy. Recently, there are civil society that look at the budget of all states and look at how the performance of those budgets, but they only do it in a way that they are not doing much noise. But what they now do is to relate it to the national budget, so that it will not look like we are criticizing the state government and they will now come out. So, but we encourage also.
With what you just said, how are we going to now get the best out of government?
Because we have been, the issue is, it's not just the fault of the civil society. Entire Nigerian system, even including the media, have made it so open that as if it is just federal government to offer us. Although I won't also fault them, because the federal government is collecting 46% of 42% of the budget. I mean, of the revenue that's coming. Like 3 days back, they shared 1.1 trillion. The federal government alone collected over 500 billion of it. Then the state and local government shared about 450.
But you know, out of the money that the federal government collects from his as his own revenue, he still makes intervention in primary healthcare. Because these primary healthcare centers that you are talking about, we have comprehensive primary healthcare. We have modern health built by the federal government. In the school too, we have all these university schools. They are being creative schools, federal government colleges. They are managed by federal government, and they still do their way. So, how do we now, in a nutshell, how do we hold government accountable? Because things cannot continue the same way they are.
We must keep the pressure on them. Either we are keeping it from the top or from the bottom.
We keep pressure from a distance. We say, oh, that's it. Because just like what we just said, that federal government are demigods. They use the security, the resources at their disposal to get at you.
Exactly. But we can also put that focus on them. And there are some state governors that are still liberal to understand what you are saying. They will still tell you, okay, you said this, but this is what we are doing. I think that's the way we should go. But you know, some criticism can be seen as political.
Yes.
And that's why when you see some NGO criticize government, they'll say, when they know that, okay, this person was a party opponent, they will not take them seriously. Exactly. They don't mind.
Of course, even at the federal, we had this, was it Father Barka that time when he criticized the Buhari? They said, oh, he came to look for contract. Just because we didn't grant it to him. That is why he's talking now. Now, it brings us to, this issue also brings us to the leading story on the Punch today. Economic crisis. States borrow 46 billion naira from banks to pay salaries. And this was what took place, was happening under former President Muhammadu Buhari.
Seriously.
Borrowing to pay salaries. And this on the backdrop that 2 billion naira was shared to state government for palliatives. So why are we having this?
The problem is that
is it not too early in the day to start borrowing?
You know, the challenge has been there. Now, some of them are in debt. Some new governors met debt. For instance, I think it was governor of Abia State that said he met empty treasury as a result.
Which state?
Abia. One of that governors also said the same thing last week, that he met empty treasury. Now, the first two governors that went to borrow from bank were Taraba and Plateau State. Then followed by Abia and one other state like that. But at the time they came into government, they discovered that the money at their disposal in terms of their monthly wages, they could not be able to meet up. That's why they went to borrow. And again, we should also forget that some of these banks also go to lure some of these states into borrowing. Because I have seen a scenario whereby this bank will go with frivolous think that after all we can do business together, and they will go and borrow and borrow to mortgage what is coming to them through the federal FCC, that's the FAC allocation. And once it comes to FAC allocation, they deduct it to them, and with certain percentage that will be paid. I think these are the things that is happening. But we just hope that they can learn, that they can be able to manage their internal revenue that is coming, and the internal revenue that is even coming. Some of them are not innovative; they are still doing the same thing. Nothing stops a state governors from establishing enterprise.
That is exactly, Folarin, that's exactly what I was going to ask you, as a following up. Because state governments, their own idea of increasing revenue in their states, IGRO, is to increase VAT.
Exactly.
But
tax and others.
Considering the hardship Nigerians are facing now, you've taxed them more than this. Can't they think out of the box? Does it mean that this government cannot do business?
They can do it. The problem is, for me, what I've discovered is when a governor comes, they will tell you they have a development plan. And their development plan, they'll say they want to woo investment into their state. Now, after wooing the investors into your state, you just allow the investors to be roaming around the state. You can't tell him, as you are coming, you are coming with funds to invest. Please, is there any way we can partner? Part of that fund, if it's just 10% of it, we can bring and let us start this business that we can hold 10% of that business. You don't think like that. They'll just say there's an investment opportunity, go and begin to follow and shallow the ground and begin to invest whatever.
You see them traveling all over the world. They say they are seeking for investors. At the end of the day, nothing comes out of it.
Nothing comes out of it. They use the opportunity to, as we have already said, look at other palaces, that they use the opportunity to also launder money of their state, out of the cover of the state. That's what they do. But we hope that they will change in that regard. So when you call for investors, ensure that you also participate in that investment sector, not just leaving it for them. A lot of them don't have farms.
Okay, for instance, see a state like Akwa Ibom. the outgoing governor, or no, the outgoing governor, sorry, was able to set up an airline. We have the Bob Air.
Exactly. It's still functioning until tomorrow.
Functioning.
And they also set up
an airline that will bring revenue to the state.
Now, people
other state governments, no borrowing. I'm not saying every state government must set up airline business. No, think out of the box on how to make a living and improve.
And one of the crises one of the problems they always have is that the bureaucratic nature of the public sector in the state has been so dormant to the point that they don't think that government need to be engaged in business. All they are just thinking is revenue. Let us tax this one. Let us collect from this one. Let us begin to issue all manner of licenses out. Meanwhile, thinking about how to also focus and participate in that business. They don't do it. Cross River State, for instance, started a garment factory. I don't know whether it's still existing under the new government.
Okay.
Imo State started palm oil, what they call palm oil company under Richard Sokovicha. I don't know whether it's still existing. Those states, they have launched their refinery. I don't know whether that refinery is still producing.
Okay, the refinery.
The modular refinery now.
I think so, because at the end it was not even able to service the state. And people, some moribund projects, like we had the floor me. It was not until recently I got to discover that a man of God, the well-known man of God, also bought it. I was managing it, and I was so impressed because that floor has been moribund for
many years.
Exactly.
You are even you are going fire those here in National State. And National State government has what they call National State Sack and Pack Company in Akwanga. For many years, that place has not been functioning. It was recently, I think it was last time I wrote an article about how to revive that particular agency. But today, what is talking about? Maybe the next thing they will think is how to sell it, which is not good. So
they
state government,
privatize it.
Even if they privatize it, but they should ensure that they privatize in a way that they can generate revenue to the state. Don't rely on motor park selling, and the way they go all those things.
That is, in fact, among all the state governments, that is just one thing that is common. Even on economics, Professor Soludo started it as governor in the state. This is somebody that everybody expected so much from. And he started taxing Okada men, and the rest of them.
There are business angle that the state government can engage in. We have mentioned farming. None of the state government has farm. No, if you ask them where is your farm, they will say they are less out the land. They're supposed to have farm. Federal government on its own has farm, has cassava.
Yes.
But if you ask them where is the farm, they will tell you that stories. They have one in Maraba, in Nassau, very big land. They call it cassava plantation sector under Ministry of Agri. It's an agency, it's a department on its own. But when you ask them when are they going to harvest, stories.
It's just a sorry situation, and it's on this backdrop we also have Vanguard. Vanguard says stay split over federal government said 5,000 wage award to federal workers, and of course federal government expects states to key in. Now that states are borrowing money to pay salaries, would they be willing to key in?
They have or yes, labor will just hold them at the throat. What the federal government have is a process. The main target is 100,000 to 200,000 minimum wage. But
the federal government elucidated on it that is just for 6 months.
Yeah, this one is for 6 months. After that 6 months, then they re-wage the discussion, because in the 15-point memorandum of understanding they signed, discussion on minimum wage will take off from this 35,000.
We take off, not that it's...
No, it will take off from this 35. If government can be able to pay 35,000 for 6 months, nothing can stop them from paying 60 or 70,000 or even 100,000. That is the argument that labor is coming with, and that is the understanding that government is also putting. But at the state level is where we may have issues, because a lot of those states, since they can't think of how to generate revenue, they may have issue with. And not even, I really want to appreciate that most of them are not even employing. Because you can't say state, apart from teachers that was employed in Kana and in Gombe recently, 1,000 teachers. Other states are a little bit very careful in giving out employment. I think that's also.
I just got to know that even among the state governments, Edo state government is really trying paying unit of increased salary to workers. That is paying about 25,000
minimum wage.
Yes.
That was below the 30,000. Below the 30,000.
Other states are not even doing that. Even the oil producing states.
Because they are in debt. The more debt they are, some of them are owing both internal and external debt.
But people are begin to wonder how many citizens are in civil service that federal government or and states trying to pay.
The issue is that the money they spent on emolument and other things that surround, not just the allowance, the salaries of workers, is what is eating up. Especially political appointees, their salary is more far higher than civil servant. And that's why I think it was last when we doing mobilization allocation commission said that there are some agencies of government that are paying 400, 500,000, even higher than ministers and the rest of them. That's where the money goes. So by the time we'll be able to understand this aspect of the economy, of salaries and wages for workers, we can now understand how we can channel our resources into better use and into better salary, wages, allowance for workers.
Because until something happens to turn this situation around, we are still going to have the same scenario.
It will be going forward, because majority of these things are as a result of the policy framework that we have, in terms of how a certain workers in certain agencies is treated and how certain workers in other agencies are treated. But when we have an harmonized policy that will ensure that every worker are given a standard and a minimum salaries and the rest of it, we will go forward. But when we continue this, although we also not forget there are some agencies that employ professionals, experts. So they may not want to follow the line of civil servant or public servant, that we know that some of them, a particular civil servant or public servant, will be doing a work that one person will do, 6 people will be chasing it. So when we look at that particular aspect, we will justify why they are receiving that low salary. But on the other hand, government must look at how to justify all this so that we can have a better salary and wages for our workers.
Thank you. Now, compounding this is the World Bank prediction for Nigeria, that Nigeria is among Naira is among Africa's worst currencies, falls by 40%. And at least that is not enough. On this day, the World Bank projected that Nigeria's economic growth projection to just 2.9%.
I think they were the one that projected to 3.1. Now they brought it down to 2.9.
So the current growth rates in Africa are inadequate to create enough jobs.
Definitely. They just understood the reality. You know, early this year they predicted 3.1, 3.2. Now, because of the cushioning effect of the subsidy, they're now bringing to 2.9. Although it's also far below what the government himself projected. The government was projecting through the 2023 budget 3.6, where CBN projected about 4.7 as their own projection. Now the reality is now dying on us that it is 2.9. But currently we are battling between 2.31 and 2.51.
Not even 2.9.
No, we can't get to that. And with what we have now, we can't get to that.
And now it also said that Naira is among Africa's worst currencies.
It's because of the depreciating level of the Naira. A lot of what people are saying is supply against the demand, but we know that it is not supply against the demand. It is just the attribute of the traders within the IIN window and outside the IIN window. That means the official traders within the official one that government owns, and the one that are outside the official. Because what is happening, this one getting from the official are taking to the unofficial. And it's the same problem that we have been having from the beginning. We are still facing. It's not supply problem. It's not supply gap. Even the Minister of Finance came out about 2 weeks ago and said there is an overdue payment or promises by CBN to meet up with some supply of currency, foreign currency. But we ask ourselves, what has the IIN window been doing in the last 3 months? CBN went out to 7.5 billion to also feed this particular market. NNPC went and borrowed 3 billion to feed this market. Where is the money?
But is it not strange that the same Afrexim bank that the NNPC went to borrow $3 billion from is now also seeking for that money? He
will seek for it because they are not members of OPEC to sell crude oil. So they will still rely on NNPC to help them sell. And when NNPC sell, and as it's now, a crude oil is now $97 per barrel, almost like 100. So definitely Afrexim bank will make profit. Nigeria will be at the losing end. So it is a pen-wise, pound foolish that we have just engaged ourselves in exchanging crude oil for some dollars as collected by NNPC. And very soon people are already telling CBN to go and look for money again, to look for dollar. And look for dollar for who? And it's quite disheartening. The same thing we have been seeing over more than 20, 30 years. It's the same problem we have, especially our monetary and fiscal policy that doesn't go well. Although we understand that CBN have been trying to create an enabling environment to the export sector, whereby we encourage people to export more and bring in foreign remittances. But now it is disheartening. Nobody is encouraging them. And the more we import more, the more we suffer. And most Nigerian businessmen, their mindset is on importation. And you ask, somebody is telling you that it's importing machine, it's importing spare part. Since January to date, it's still importing machine, importing spare part, asking for dollar. The one that has been importing since January, where are the and nobody is asking questions. That's why we suggested to the new CBN governor, you have to have a due diligence and critical reform must take place. And that critical reform is not paper. It's about sanctioning and asking questions.
Yes, ask questions.
Those are the things, because if you don't ask them questions, we will not have answers to some of the people demanding for dollar all the time, and they keep demanding. And that is the thing that is supporting bringing down the market, bringing worse on naira. The naira is just fluctuating. It's now 1,050 naira at black market. Meanwhile, at the official market, it's 800 naira per dollar. We're going to ask ourselves questions. So where are we going in this regard? So if World Bank is saying worst currency in Africa, they get it by 40%. But we must understand that this is as a result of poor and weak governance structure within our monetary system that's supposed to guide the dollar and naira exchange rate.
So in a nutshell, what are you saying? That the CBN should play a more robust regulatory
They
role?
have to. Although that is the main thing they have to do. They have accused, although the CBN in the past have accused.
You shouldn't leave out the fact that most these Apex Bank being managed, and of course they also have relationship with some of these manufacturers.
Definitely.
So they are bound to. You understand what I'm saying?
I get it, but the thing is, even within that same bound of relationship between the banks and the manufacturer, the CBN will come in and say, okay, this is what we want to do. Okay, you have been asking for dollar. You know, the thing is that when the banks don't even have much of these huge millions of dollars they give to manufacturers, they collect it directly from the CBN through their own open operation market.
Yes.
Now, the one that the banks are giving are the small $4,000, $10,000 to people asking for PTA, personal travel allowance, or BTA, business travel allowance, or for people going for education and hospitality stuff. Those are the ones that the bank take care of. But the challenge you have when the CBN collect the request from the banks in millions of dollars, be 4,000, 4,000, 2,000, 3,000, in millions of dollars, and release it to the bank. The bank's relationship with their co-friends who owns account with them, the manufacturer, can also get it. And that's where this question comes from. So how can the CBN also monitor this channel very well? Because the IIN window is for people looking for huge dollars. So don't go to the DMB, the deposit money bank, and be asking for such. Because that one alone is where the pressure is. Because when those ones don't have, they will now run to the black market. I will not say it's overdue requests that CBN have not been able to meet. And that's why they are having shortage on supply. Well, people who are the first one on the DMB, who are friends to the MD of the bank, will quickly collect what they want. And they keep their business going.
Thank you so much. There's so much to be done in order to stabilize the monetary policy of CBN. Now, on the lighter side, just before we go, Mobad court remands Naira Marley, Sam Larry, two others. And of course, yesterday there was trending news that the police declared one, I've forgotten his name, wanted, and of course, with a 1 million naira bounty on his head. What do you think about it? Because most Nigerians feel that this is just another chasing. At the end of the day, these are big men, they are not small men, they will be let off the
definitely, because no, as it stands now, although I'm not speaking for the police, neither speaking for any of them, there's no yet linkage of the guy's death to any of these guys.
Exactly, because
most of them
has been in
UK and they personally surrender themselves to the police, and they are now coming forward to say, okay, everybody telling what they know about the issue. So at the end of the day,
with apology to the police, do you think police has enough intelligence or whatever to guide them to?
They will police as if they want to work, and
because these are men that were far away when Oba died. So how are they going to put
for many Nigerians, for them not to be disappointed, don't think that the case will be unraveled before the end of this year. It may take 2 to 3 years before this kind of homicide cases can be unraveled. You can see the 1 or 2 pack after many years before they now. So this one can also take 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But the issue is that this one will be a chance to court on some issues of next.
Many people are also accusing police of shedding crocodile tears in court, because this is somebody that they said has wrote a petition to the police that was in June alleging threat to his life, and police refused to act. So now that the same person has died, now he's now coming up to
although on the part of the police, that report will only made known to everybody through the social media. Although, if you get it, when that guy say he submitted petition to the police, he made people known of it to the social media. Everybody know about it on social media. The police didn't come out and say they collected any petition from anybody. To date, the police didn't come out and say that. But the only thing we saw was that there was a stamp.
Yes, that means they received it.
And again, the other question: did they submit the petition at the first headquarters, or they just submit it in the ordinary police station? Because that's another. Because police stamp can be gotten anywhere. But because I know that I've submitted petition in the IG office before.
Okay.
So they have their own special stamp. They will even tell you the floor you will go and submit that petition. And that petition, in terms of not this current.
You just mentioned that you have submitted before. Did they act on your petition?
They did. They directed the case to FCID.
Oh,
FCID, yes, they directed the case to FCID. After FCID treated the case, they directed the case to another Abuja-owned FCID to now say, okay, it's a domicile case that can be handled by within the FCT, not at the national level.
I think Nigerians are skeptical because we know about that postgraduate student that was killed in the hotel room that went to, was it Osho?
Or any
and died. Police, pathologists were to conduct autopsy on him, and at the end they could not come up with concrete.
No, already the person that the culprit has already been jailed.
I know he has been jailed, but it's just that the judge used his discretion. But at the end of the day, the autopsy report was nothing to write him about.
Because it showed the real is
dead. They just said trauma. Of course, everybody knows trauma. What kind of trauma? You know, there is in the Western world, they will go to point out all these things, time of death, and all those stuff. But it's just the fact that somebody died in the hotel room and you actually went to go and bury him in the dead of the night without alerting any of his relatives. Also speaks volume. Exactly. I think a good one the judge did. But but how are you going to how do you conceive these Mohbad's death investigations going to end up?
It has received a national outcry, and I know the police will do their justice if it is well followed. Now, one thing about all these kind of cases is systematic. You don't do too much media trial. If you do too much of media trial, you will lose the value of what you are looking for. The people who are in support of Mohbad should reduce the media trial and do concrete work. Apart from the police, there are other agents of government that letters will be written to, pressure will be put on to get justice. That's what I do in my own case. It was the issue about X-Man crisis in Nassau State that helped some group to push, and we push it systematically. We didn't do any media trial by going up and down. No, we follow agencies and institutions that we need to follow. Even to the Senate President, that letters were written in terms of referring to military to take out action on it. But by the time you begin to do all this media trial and begin to show your face on the media, all that negative narrative will be written about it that will now become something that people will not be interested in, and people will not think it's a rumor or this and that. So that's how, if their lawyers are wise, they should not do things that will put even them themselves in danger, rather than doing systematically to attract the real value they want for the case.
Thank you so much. Because the people think that they are not just small men, they are big people in the society.
You can deal with people. There are big people against big people in Nigeria. His article is not a big man. He's not fighting the presidency. Okay. So it's a big people versus big people. So you know.
Thank you so much. Adefola Olamileko, it's always a pleasure to have you on the program, and I look forward to having you same station next week. The viewers will end today's Thursday program Inside Nigeria, your number one breakfast show on television. My name is Fred Bobo. Until I come your way again, same time, same station next week. Here's wishing you a beautiful weekend. See you then. Bye.
Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country.